Well, who dat to the Who Dat Nation, and welcome to the Dome Patrol podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and yes, as promised, I have returned due to the sudden change of the New Orleans Saints. I had, in case you didn't listen to the last show, the last episode of Dome Patrol podcast, where we talked about the firing of one Dennis Allen as the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. I'm back. I am back, and I reneged on my promise from last week when I said I'm no longer doing the Dome Patrol podcast until a change comes, until Sam Cooke sings his song, and 24 hours later, it happened. So hopefully that trend continues and I speak things into existence, even though it hasn't worked this season, because I have stated in the past that the Saints were going to win X, Y, and Z, and they end up losing. But it doesn't work for wins and losses, but it does work in regards of somebody's job, apparently. So today we have returned to discuss the Week 10 matchup with our hated rivals, our second matchup of the season against the dreaded Atlanta Falcons. The Saints are 2-7, and they finally come back to the Superdome after it feels like a month. I don't know how long has it been since the Saints have played at home? It was the Thursday night game, wasn't it? Against Denver, I believe. Yeah, it's been that long, and that feels like forever ago. But we're back to take on the Atlanta Falcons, who are 6-3 and sitting at the top of the NFC South. But this is a new look New Orleans Saints team in many areas of the team, on the sideline and on the field, as the Saints will be debuting their brand new interim head coach, Darren Rizzi, who I must say, haven't seen him coach yet. Don't know what he's going to bring new to the table, but I can honestly say I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this guy. I know it's early. I know he can disappoint me at any given time, but as it stands right now, I am a fan of him. I like his energy. I love his energy, and it's a stark contrast to what we've had for the last 2.5 years here in New Orleans with Dennis Allen. And, Dennis Allen, God bless him, wish him all the luck wherever he ends up, and he's going to get another job. So it's really no need to mope about it. He's going to get another gig somewhere as a defensive coordinator. Who knows? He probably pop up in Denver with Sean Payton. But he's going to get another job. I'm fully confident in that, because the guy can coach a defense. Let's be real. He can coach a defense. But the fella is so vanilla. He is so bland, man. I mean, he is no emotion. There's no energy, no fire, no swag, no anything when it came to Dennis Allen. And I guess that's what infuriated a lot of people. You can kind of deal with losing if your coach gets up there and just be mad, just like, man, I don't know what the problem is, but I'm going to find out what the problem is, and we're going to straighten it out. Not Dennis Allen. Look, we got some things to clean up, but we're going to do better. The defense going to do better. The offense going to do better, and the coaches are going to do better. It was never, well, it starts with me. It was never, well, I got to do a better job at getting these guys prepared. He never took responsibility for nothing. And that's why the Saints are at 2-7 right now. That's why the Saints have missed the playoffs for 3 straight years. And you could probably add a fourth to that. And so it's all about energy, because it reflects on your team. The team had no energy. They had no swag. It was nothing, man. There was no excitement, no energy, no nothing. And just in the course of 2 to 3 days, since the change at head coach, Darren Rizzi has brought a different vibe. If you've seen the press conferences, even the one when they introduced him, which was cool, he had a different energy. When the players are talking now, it's like a different team. It's a different type of feel. It's like this team is ready to go. The only infuriating part is, I want to get excited that the Saints do something going forward, but at the same time, do we really want to mess up our draft position? And then the other part is, well, we haven't been doing good in the draft anyway, so we don't, it's nothing to get excited about that either. But I want my team to go out there and play hard, and I have a feeling that they will. Um, Whether they win or lose or not, that remains to be seen. Now, these two teams, the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints, they've met a grand total of 110 times in the regular season. This will be the 111th time that the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons lock horns in the regular season. The serious record is 55-55. They're dead even. Dead even. This Sunday will be the tiebreaker, at least for this season. 3 out of the last 5 times the Saints and the Falcons have played, it came down to 3 points or less. It's been a dogfight for the last couple of matchups, and we all know what took place on September the 29th when the Falcons won. They defeated the Saints 26-24, and that epic game that logistically doesn't make sense. That just, when you really sit back and rewatched it, if you did rewatch it, if you really think back in your mind's eye what took place in that game, there is no reason on God's green earth the Saints should have lost that game. The defense, this was the last time the defense actually looked amazing this season. From this moment on, the defense just said, forget it. And, when you think back, you can understand why. Because the defense shut down the Falcons' offense. And I know what you're saying. Well, they scored 26 points, Kevin. Not the offense. The offense didn't score a touchdown. Not one. You had the muff punt by Shadeed that turned into 7. You had the pick 6 thrown by Derek Carr that turned into another 7. There were field goals galore by the Falcons. Nothing went right for the Saints. Nothing. It was like, how did we lose that game? And it got repetitive, and that's why Dennis Allen is not here. Because it's like, how did we lose this game? Then the next week, how did we lose that game? And it was so on and so forth. It was never a team went out and beat you or beat us in this case. It was, how did we lose? The only games I can say that we actually legitimately lost were the Kansas City Chiefs. We lost that game. That was the Chiefs went and beat us, I should say. That was a pretty decent game. And the Tampa Bay game. And you can make an argument the Tampa Bay game, we should have won that game, but Tampa came to play. But other than that, you really got to sit back and look at those other games like, well, how did we lose? How did we lose? But we're not looking back. We're looking forward. The Atlanta Falcons have won the last 5 out of their last 6. Well, 5 out of their last 6, I should say, after they started the season 1-2. And they're coming off a 27-21 win over the Dallas Cowboys this past weekend. And they pretty much cemented a comfortable lead in the NFC South, which isn't that difficult of a task. Going around the NFC South this weekend, The Saints and the Falcons are playing, of course, but you have the Carolina Panthers fresh off of defeating the Saints in the Dennis Allen Memorial game. They will be traveling to Germany to take on the New York Giants. And poor Germany, they're not even getting our best. They're getting our worst. You're getting two teams that have a combined record of 4-14 going to Germany to play a game. But they never get to see football. So in their eyes, it's a Super Bowl. They'll be playing this Sunday, I think around 8 o'clock in the morning. So you're going to have to get up early to watch that game. And you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 4-5 right now. They will be taking on the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday. 49ers are 4-4, and they're starting to get some of their players back from injury. They're getting a little healthier. And so there's a possibility for some catching up if you're still on that train of the Saints doing something miraculous in these last 9 games. We'll see Sunday. I'm not even we're going to take this week by week when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. But that is what's happening with this squad right now. Let's go over our injury report for this week, this matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. And we have some decent news and some not so decent news. Well, before I get into the injury report, I skipped over completely another big newsworthy item that took place over this past week. And that was, of course, the big trade before the trade deadline that took place on Tuesday, when the New Orleans Saints made a trade with the Washington Commanders and sent Marshawn Lattimore, our former rookie of the year, our shutdown corner, probably the best player on defense, if not team, sent him to the Washington Commanders and a 5th round pick. In return, the New Orleans Saints get a 3rd round, a 4th round, and a 6th round in that deal. This is something that, as much as I love Marshawn Lattimore, I'm going to miss Marshawn Lattimore. It needed to happen. Let's keep it a buck. It needed to happen. Saints at this point, it's fire sale, man. It's really time to try to move off of these contracts and some of these aging players who are taking up the cap, taking up space. It's time to blow up the team in a sense. And I know that's a cardinal sin in football. You don't want to hear about your team blowing up everything, just gutting the team and starting over from scratch. But this is something the Saints should have done years ago, even when Sean Payton was here. After the year after Drew Brees left, this team should have blew up and built from there. They've been trying to sneakily rebuild with younger players and stuff like that, but it just didn't work out. The drafts didn't work out the way we were hoping they would work out. Peyton Turner didn't work out. Forsky didn't work out. Marcus Davenport didn't work out. It's a laundry list of picks that just didn't work out for the New Orleans Saints. And we're paying for it, literally and figuratively, as we speak. And that was a move that needed to be made. Plus, I feel we got a heck of a deal. That was a good trade. We just got to do good with those picks. If not with those picks, that's a good little lump of picks we can package together and possibly move up in the draft. Get somebody that we can build a team around, things of that nature. Because Saints, if they stay on this trajectory, will be picking top 10, if not top 5. We need a quarterback. We need a quarterback. So get you a quarterback you can build around. Get you a actual franchise quarterback. Not luck up on Spencer Rattler in the 5th round and stuff like that, and then send him out there like lambs to the slaughter. But I mean, get us an actual franchise quarterback that we're going to build a team around, and let's go. Let's go from there. You know, follow the Houston Texans blueprint. Houston Texans are building something pretty special over there. I really think in the next couple of years, that's going to be a heck of a team. And they're ahead of schedule right now with what they're doing. This year, they're struggling a little bit, and that's to be expected with a young team, young coach. It's to be expected. But they first had to blow it all up to get to the position that they are right now. And so, yeah, that was the big move. Once again, to Marshawn Lattimore, thank you for all you done for this franchise. Marshawn Lattimore, I don't care how you feel about him, even though I don't know who would have a problem with Marshawn Lattimore, other than the fact he did get hurt a lot. That's the one knock I had on him, but it's football. Everybody gets hurt. And so I'm not mad at him for that. But people he stay hurt. All right. Okay. But when he's not hurt, he shuts down a whole side of the field. You ever wondered why quarterbacks always picked on Paulson Adebo, always picked on Alante Taylor? Because they refused to throw to Marshawn Lattimore's side. It did not happen, people. They didn't even look. Quarterbacks didn't even look over there to kind of throw off a safety or something like that. Well, number one, the safety weren't even going over there to help because Marshawn Lattimore had it on lock. Marshawn Lattimore was the best cornerback the New Orleans Saints has ever had. And it's ironic because we almost got our franchise quarterback in that very same draft that we got Marshawn Lattimore. It was Patrick Mahomes. The Saints were going to pick Patrick Mahomes at number 17. The Kansas City Chiefs traded up to 16 to draft Patrick Mahomes because they found out that the Saints were about to draft. And so when the Chiefs made that pick, the very next pick at 17 was Marshawn Lattimore. And the rest, as you may say, is history. And I think we both came out pretty good on that side of the draft, even though the Chiefs got three or four championships out the deal. I don't know, and counting. And so they are reaping the benefits of that trade up. And we reaped the benefits of ours. It didn't lead to championships, but it definitely led to a stellar career by one Marshawn Lattimore. Sir, we thank you. God bless you. We wish you all the success in Washington. He's going to be missed. But now let's get into our injury report for this Sunday's game against Atlanta. This is the updated report, Friday, November the 8th. And we have some encouraging news, and we also have some kind of discouraging news as well. But let's start off with the encouraging. And that is center Eric McCoy, who we all know was out on injured reserve. What game that was he got hurt? Was it the Atlanta game he got hurt? I'm kind of fuzzy on which game it was. But he hasn't practiced. You know, he had that groin injury. He finally returned to practice, even though it was limited, and he is listed as doubtful. He's not going to play. Let me just throw that out there. They have him as doubtful, but he's not playing. But it's good to see him on track to return in the near future. That's the encouraging news. The kind of disencouraging news is the rest of the list. We have a few, and I mean a few, players who are questionable for this Sunday's game. Shane Lemieux, guard, is questionable with a knee injury. Special team specialist and defensive back JT Gray has a back injury. He is questionable. Rico Payton, cornerback, he has a back injury as well. He is questionable. Jamal Williams, running back, groin, he is questionable. Defensive tackle John Ridgway, oblique. We all know about the oblique. He is questionable. Safety Will Harris, hamstring, he is questionable as well. Also dealing with a couple of injuries throughout the week. You had Derek Carr, quarterback. He was sick, but he did participate in practice. He's going to play, so don't worry. You little Derek Carr Knights out there. And and Alvin Kamara, running back. He had a hand injury, but he participated all week. The only players ruled out, well, I say the only, but there's a few of them, four to be exact. Cedric Wilson Jr. with a shoulder, wide receiver Cedric Wilson Jr. That is, he is out. Chris Olave, concussion, he is out, of course. Lucas Patrick, our guard, ankle injury, he is out. And Kool-Aid McKendry, our cornerback, hamstring, he has been ruled out. And that one cuts like a knife because, like we just talked about, Marshawn Lattimore is gone. Marshawn Lattimore is gone. This was his opportunity to kind of get get his feet wet, so to speak, and he won't be playing. He will eventually, but I was excited to see him get out there this week, especially with this Atlanta Falcons offense with all of their weapons. And you also have Rico Payton, who is questionable, the other cornerback. So there's a lot of question marks in that secondary. But, you know, it is what it is at this point. I'm not encouraging them to beat the Falcons, even though it's the Falcons and I want them to beat them. But in the grand scheme of it all, I really I wouldn't mind a loss. I wouldn't mind this loss against the Falcons. But our lead rankings so far this season, starting with our records, the Saints are 2-7, the Falcons are 6-3. Scoring average, Saints are 15th in the lead, 23, and the Falcons are 15th in the lead at 24.5. Opponent scoring average, Saints are 26th in the lead, and the Falcons are 20th. Total offense, Saints are 16th, and the Falcons are 8th in the lead. Rushing offense, Saints are 13th, the Falcons are 18th. Passing offense, Saints are 18th, the Falcons are 6th. Total defense, Saints got better. As you know, the Saints for the past 3 weeks in a row have been ranked dead last at 32. They moved up. They are 28th in the league, which is a vast improvement, but still not good. But at least they're not dead last. The Falcons, on the other hand, they are 20th in total defense. Rush defense, Saints are 25th. Falcons are 23rd. Passing defense, Saints are 27th, and the Falcons are 20th. The Saints probably going to dip in that a smidge because of our secondary and the lack thereof going forward, but we shall see. The turnover margin ranking, Saints are 11th in the lead with a +3, and the Falcons are 16th in the lead with a -1. Season leaders for both teams, passing yardage for the Atlanta Falcons is Kirk Cousins, 204 completions off of 295 attempts, 2,328 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. For the New Orleans Saints, it's Derek Carr, 108 completions on 159 attempts, 1,225 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. Keep in mind, Derek Carr was out for 3 weeks this season. Rushing yardage leaders on both teams for the Atlanta Falcons is Robertson, 135 carries, 632 yards, and 4 touchdowns. For the New Orleans Saints, it's AK-41, Alvin Kamara, 150 carries, 660 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He's doing all this with broken rib, injured hip, and one hand, basically tied behind his back. For the receiving yardage, the leaders on both teams, the Atlanta Falcons, is Darryl Mooney, 41 receptions, 288 yards, and 5 touchdowns. For the Saints, it is, of course, Chris Olave, who will not be participating in this Sunday's matchup. He has 32 catches, probably just as many concussions as well, 400 yards, and 1 touchdown so far this season. Keys to victory. Keys to victory for the New Orleans Saints. Attack, attack, attack. I just want energy. And the problem the Saints have had the last 7 weeks, 7 weeks of straight losses, is the energy of the team, is the fight in the team. Just bring the fight. We can go X's and O's. Oh, they need to run the ball more. Oh, they need to execute the screens more, slants more, the short yardage game. All that is pretty well documented. The Saints need to do that better. Honestly, they need to do everything better, so it doesn't make sense to go through the list. But there's one thing I know they can do for certain. This is one thing that Darren Rizzi promised, was the energy, was the fight in this team that he's going to bring out. And I'm looking for that. I'm not looking for a win. Do I want him to win? Of course. I'm a Saints fan. Yes, I want him to win. I want him to look good winning. But I'll be more impressed if you just show fight. I would have been impressed with a 2-7 record, knowing that those 7 games you fought your behind off. You did everything you could possibly do on that field to win, but you just couldn't do it. I mean, it just wasn't enough. Wasn't quite enough. I would accept that. But when I watch a product on the field that I know, Stevie Wonder is knowing that you just aren't giving 110% out there, that's what I can't accept. And that's what led to the firing of Dennis Allen. And so you need to go out there and put up a fight. That's all I'm asking for. I can care less if you win. I don't care. I just want you to put up a fight. So it's no need to give my prediction. My prediction is I just want the Saints to fight, man. Show me that you care. Show me that you care. If you win, fine. If you lose, fine. I'm really, honestly, I've been fighting with this all week. Ever since they made this change, I've been like, okay, then what we do now? Do we push ahead, go forward, try to win out, go 10-7? You win these last 8? I don't know. Or do you tank the season? Do you just say, forget it, we're looking to get a high draft pick? I don't know. Because I know me, and this is just me personally, if they go out there with the energy that they're promising that we're going to get and just completely dominate the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, wipe the floor with them, give me a score like the Saints did, these performances the first 2 weeks of the season, win like 47-10 or something crazy, I'm going to get mad. I'm going to get mad because I know y'all could have did this for the last 2 months, but you didn't, And it's like, what was the point? What was the point? All that just to get the coach fired? I guess you got to sacrifice. You got to make sacrifices, and that was the sacrifice that the team got together and did. I don't know, but because obviously they gave up on them. But I'm gonna get mad because a few of them games they should have. It was no reason for us to lose, and it's infuriating. But there you have it. It is what it is. But I want to know your feelings going into this game. Do you have a jolt of energy now? Because I know after that loss to Carolina, a lot of the Who Dat Nation, a lot of friends of mine who are fellow Who Dat, just stopped caring. And I was one of them. I stopped caring to the point I quit the show. I was done. I just didn't care. I wasn't going to watch no more games. I wasn't going to talk about I was done. But by making that move, that gangster move by the queen, Gail Benson, it just gave me life, man. It jolted some energy into me. Now, did it jolt energy in you moving forward? I would love to know. And what do you think is going to be the outcome of Sunday's matchup against the Atlanta Falcons? email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network, as well as YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel. Like this video, share this video, tell the world about the Dome Patrol podcast. And don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the show. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this preview of the Saints versus the Atlanta Falcons. Can't wait to speak to you after the game when we discuss a Saints victory. We'll talk then. Until then, I'm going to be screaming to the top of my lungs, who dat?